Installing an in-ground trampoline is a great alternative to an above-ground because it offers easier access for smaller children, security to prevent a gust of wind carrying it away, and is way more aesthetically pleasing. While more appealing, an in-ground trampoline's burial kit can cost several thousands of dollars, but we're all about saving money, so we came up with a much cheaper option. In this video, we'll show you step-by-step how we modified our above-ground trampoline on a budget using free pallet lumber and a little ingenuity. We love doing stuff for our kids. Anything that can help them burn their energy, use their imaginations, build strength and coordination, or help keep them busy is well worth the time spent on a project. Since we're living in our fifth wheel with 6 kids full-time, anything that can help ease the burden of entertaining them and getting them outside is a plus and a must. We searched the internet for months for the type of trampoline we wanted at a reasonable price, and nothing. We had given up, and then a few months later, an ad came up on our Facebook for this 10-foot by 17-foot upper bounce trampoline from Wayfair. First thing we need to do is assemble the frame so that we can determine exactly how big of a hole we'll need, and then start brainstorming a retention wall design. Now that we know what size hole we need, we put the kids to work. Just kidding. We rented a Mini X. The best way to dig this hole is to find the highest point of the ground you wish to place the trampoline using a laser level. Then use that as your reference to dig down the same distance of the height of the trampoline. If you don't own a laser level and you're a DIYer, now's the time to get one. You'll use it all the time, so it's worth the investment. Based off of your laser reading as you dig the hole, flatten the bottom of the hole to the required depth, adding or removing dirt as necessary. Just as we were about halfway done digging, Jeff's dad surprised us with a visit as he was traveling through. This worked out great. Now Jeff could man the transit stick and Grandpa Dave could work the excavator. When we went to tamp the floor of our hole, we realized that the wedge that pressure fits the handle to the tamper was shot, so Jeff had to make a new wedge. Our hole is leveled and tamped. Now we'll bring in the trampoline frame, and this is where the fun really begins. Now, because we're on a budget, all of the lumber that we're using for this build is 100% free pallet lumber that we were able to find after scouring our local classifieds. We have this handy pallet buster that makes quick work of breaking down pallets with minimal damage to the lumber. Then we get to remove all the nails. The kids are super helpful with this part. Jeff came up with a great retention wall design where we'll just be adding to the trampoline frame. So once he has the measurements we need, I get started on cutting all of our reclaimed lumber to size. Before we can attach our wood pieces, we pre-drill holes in our trampoline frame where the wood will be received. Then we attach the frame pieces using deck screws to prevent corrosion. When digging your hole, you want to be sure to leave enough room to walk around the outside of the frame so there's plenty of space to work as you build your retention wall. We left about 2 feet on each side. Once our frame is complete, it's time to install the vertical slats to retain the soil. We're using an 18 gauge brad nailer with 1 1/4 inch nails, and we'll work our way around the whole frame. To prevent the weight of the soil from putting too much pressure against the screw points of the wood frame, braces are added to the outside across these points. Since we're on a budget, we opted to return the Mini X as soon as we were done digging our hole, and then we would just shovel the dirt for the backfilling portion. Plus, it's a nice workout. At least that's what we kept telling ourselves. We shimmied the trampoline a little bit to get it in the exact placement that we wanted, then used the laser level to get one final reading of the 4 corners and made some slight adjustments as necessary. At this point in the project would be a great time to put down a weed barrier or gravel for a more aesthetic look. Before backfilling the dirt, you might consider adding a wood sealer to both sides of the wall to prolong its life, especially if you expect it to come in contact with lots of moisture. We recommend Rubber Coat number 57. Link will be in the description. Next, we'll be ready to backfill.
Here's the level right here. So we're just going to start taking this dirt and shoving it this way. Okay? We're just going to make a flat spot to work on.
We felt in this situation that it was better to have more control by hand to avoid damaging the trampoline frame. It took more time, but it was well worth the spared expense and peace of mind. This allowed us more control over volume and where dirt was going, and we were also able to compact it at 6-inch intervals. If you use equipment to backfill, be careful not to hit your frame or put too much weight against the retention wall. As we got to the top edge, we were sure to slope the dirt away from the trampoline to prevent unnecessary water collection underneath. Unless you get a ridiculous amount of moisture, drainage is not really a concern. We're in the desert, and the placement of our trampoline is at the highest point of a slope that leads to a draw on our property. We were able to slough off any excess dirt down the hill because of the shape of our property, but you might need to arrange to have your extra dirt removed. Now, if you're installing a round trampoline, we recommend that you install the mat before backfilling because the tension of the springs will give it the shape it needs and hold the round shape while you compact the dirt around the retention wall. Rectangular trampolines are bowed out on the long sides, so when the mat is installed, the tension pulls in, making them straight, so you can install it before or after. Next, we install our support poles for the safety net. We're so grateful for Grandpa Dave. It was nice to have some extra hands on this project. And as always, the kids were oh so eager and willing to help where they could as well. These plastic clips go on the top to cradle the frame for the net. Now, it took a few minutes to get the frame assembled because there were 3 different size rods and the ink on the instructions was too blurred to decipher which went where, but through trial and error, we got it figured out. Then, it was just a matter of pushing the rods through the top of the net and mounting them to the clips. In lacing our poles through the loops, we noticed that the thread holding the loops to the net were coming kind of unraveled on the edges. Jeff and I were just kind of voicing our concerns about that, and we threw some ideas around. The next morning, we woke up to Calvin having taken the initiative. He had overheard our conversation and took it upon himself to use paracord to address the issue. It seemed to be doing the trick, so we supported him in his cause and we pressed on with what remained. The net poles came with these PVC covers to protect the foam. The kids have a record of quickly destroying the foam on their previous trampoline, so we were obliged to install them. Calvin finished up the paracord reinforcement, and then we moved on to installing the mat. It was the moment our little army of helpers had been waiting for. We installed the mat last to prevent damage to the mat with all the shovels and tools the kids were using, and the springs pulled the sides in, creating a small void which required the dirt to be recompacted along those sides. The spring application tool that came with the trampoline broke when we started trying to add the side springs, and we had to get creative with this clamp to finish the job. You lose all your leverage having the application level at your feet, causing you to pull out and up instead of the normal height around your waist area where you can pull out and down. So I had to push the spring down into the hole while Jeff pulled out. We could only install 4 springs at a time, switching side to side, working our way from one end to the other, which slowly pulled the sides in, allowing for each new set of springs to be added. And the kids are impatiently reaping the fruits of their labors while Jeff gets that final compaction done with the tamper. All that's left now is to attach the safety net to the mat. Now, you may be wondering why we installed the net. You don't necessarily have to bother with a net when installing an in-ground trampoline. However, we wanted to leave the pad off the springs to allow for airflow for optimum bouncing. Having exposed springs can be a not-so-fun liability. The net keeps the kids off the springs and prevents them from tumbling down our hill. Okay, let's talk numbers. Since we were able to procure all our lumber free, this project only cost us the price of the trampoline, the Mini X rental of $300, and the screws and nails needed to build the retention wall. And the screws are actually reused from our concrete forms from burying our shipping container. So, altogether, we're talking $1,355, which is way more affordable than the $3,800 it would have cost to buy an in-ground trampoline of this size and style. And that amount doesn't account for the equipment rental to dig and backfill your hole. We hope that you enjoyed watching this video and that you might consider sharing it on your social media to help us advertise our channel as we try and motivate like-minded individuals to tackle those difficult projects. If you liked this video, hit the like button and please subscribe so that we can continue to produce content and show everyone that chasing your dreams isn't always easy, but it's worth it.